The entire diner fell silent the moment the towering Mafia boss slammed a thick stack of foreign documents onto the table and pointed at the curvy waitress standing nervously beside him. His bodyguards smirked. The wealthy businessman watched with amused expressions. Customers held their breath. Then, with a cruel smile that echoed through the restaurant, he challenged the woman everyone underestimated. He expected laughter. He expected humiliation. Instead, less than 5 minutes later, his face turned pale, his confidence disappeared, and for the first time in years, the most feared man in the city stood completely frozen. Before we continue, if you believe kindness is more powerful than appearances and that everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, comment, share it with someone who loves inspiring stories, and subscribe to the channel Moral Stories. We'd also love to know, where in the world are you watching from today? Tell us in the comments, because it's amazing seeing our Moral Stories family growing across the globe. Every regular customer knew Olivia Harper as the cheerful waitress who somehow managed to smile even during 12-hour shifts. She wasn't the glamorous type magazines celebrated. She had a curvy figure, tied-back brown hair that always escaped its bun during busy hours, and a soft voice that made nervous customers feel welcome. Most people assumed she had lived an ordinary life. They never imagined that behind her simple diner uniform was someone who had once studied languages at one of America's most respected universities before life pulled the ground from beneath her. Years earlier, Olivia had dreamed of becoming an international interpreter. She spoke German, Italian, French, and enough Russian to handle business meetings. Professors believed she would represent major corporations around the world. But everything changed when her father suffered a devastating stroke. Medical bills consumed every dollar the family had. Olivia abandoned graduate school without complaint, worked multiple jobs, and spent years caring for the man who had sacrificed everything to raise her. By the time he peacefully passed away, her savings, her career, and most of her confidence had disappeared. The diner became her fresh start, even if nobody there knew what she had once been capable of. That sunny afternoon, several black SUVs stopped outside the diner. Conversations faded as sharply dressed men entered first, checking every corner before allowing their boss inside. Dominic Moretti was known across the city as a ruthless businessman whose reputation frightened even powerful executives. Whether every rumor about him was true hardly mattered. People believed them, and fear often became stronger than facts. Dominic wasn't there for lunch alone. Across the booth sat wealthy investors from Germany discussing a business deal worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Their professional interpreter had been delayed by an unexpected highway accident. Frustration filled the table as schedules collapsed. Documents covered every inch of the booth while impatient voices grew louder with every passing minute. Olivia approached politely to refill coffee cups. She noticed something immediately. The German businessman seemed increasingly uncomfortable because the English translations inside the contract didn't match the original German version lying underneath. Quietly, almost instinctively, she glanced over a paragraph and realized there was a serious mistake. One sentence had been translated incorrectly, completely changing the ownership terms of the agreement. She hesitated. Speaking up could cost her job if she embarrassed wealthy customers. Staying silent might allow someone to lose millions of dollars. Gathering every ounce of courage, Olivia respectfully mentioned that there appeared to be a translation error. The table went silent before laughter erupted. Dominic leaned back with an amused grin, looking her up and down as though she had just told the world's funniest joke. The bodyguards chuckled. Several nearby diners exchanged uncomfortable glances. With obvious mockery, Dominic shoved the entire stack of documents toward her and sarcastically suggested that if she believed she was so intelligent, she should translate them herself. Olivia felt dozens of eyes staring at her. Her hands trembled. Memories of abandoned dreams flooded back. For a brief moment, she considered apologizing and walking away. Then she remembered her father's favorite advice: never hide your gift simply because someone else cannot see it. She slowly picked up the papers. The laughter disappeared almost immediately. Without hesitation, Olivia began reading fluent German aloud before calmly explaining each paragraph in perfect English. She didn't simply translate word for word. She explained the legal meaning behind every phrase, identified misleading terminology, and pointed directly to the clause that transferred controlling ownership to the wrong company because of one dangerous mistranslation. The German investors looked at each other with stunned expressions. One of them switched entirely into rapid German, asking complicated legal questions that would overwhelm most interpreters. Olivia answered every one without missing a single detail. Another investor tested her with business terminology in French. She responded just as naturally. Then an elderly executive quietly asked a question in Italian. Her answer arrived instantly. The entire diner watched in complete disbelief. Dominic's confident smile slowly vanished. His experienced legal team began comparing Olivia's explanations with the original contracts. Within minutes they confirmed the truth. The documents contained several translation mistakes that could have transferred tens of millions of dollars to the wrong organization and triggered years of international lawsuits. The investors admitted those errors had slipped through multiple professional reviews before reaching America. Olivia had discovered them in less than 2 minutes while carrying coffee. For the first time since entering the diner, Dominic stood speechless. The room expected him to explode with anger. Instead, he quietly asked one question. He wanted to know why someone with extraordinary talent was working double shifts serving pancakes. Olivia simply smiled and spoke about her father, about unfinished dreams, about responsibilities that mattered more than prestigious careers. She never complained. She never blamed life. She simply explained that sometimes love asks people to postpone their own future. Even Dominic lowered his eyes. For years he had judged strength by wealth, power, and intimidation. Yet the strongest person in the room had been the woman everyone overlooked. Several weeks later, a black envelope arrived at the diner. Inside was an offer unlike anything Olivia had imagined. Dominic's international company wanted her to become their chief language consultant, complete her education with every expense covered, and help build ethical communication standards for global negotiations so mistakes like that contract could never happen again. She accepted, but only after asking one condition. Every year the company would fund scholarships for students forced to abandon college because they were caring for sick family members. Dominic agreed without negotiation. Months turned into years. Those scholarships changed hundreds of lives. Young people who thought their dreams had ended finally received another chance, simply because one waitress had refused to stay silent when she knew the truth. The old diner eventually framed the newspaper articles celebrating Olivia's achievements. Customers who visited would often stop, smile, and point toward the picture of the former waitress standing beside graduates whose futures had been transformed by her kindness. Dominic occasionally returned for coffee. He always left the biggest tip. Not because he felt guilty, but because every visit reminded him that true greatness never announces itself with expensive suits or powerful bodyguards. Sometimes it quietly carries a tray, serves strangers with kindness, and waits patiently for the moment the world finally recognizes its worth. If this story touched your heart and reminded you never to judge someone by their appearance or their job, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to Moral Stories for more emotional and inspiring journeys. Special request: comment below with the words, "Everyone has hidden value," if you believe every person deserves respect before judgment. Because the greatest talents are often hidden behind ordinary uniforms, and sometimes the person the world laughs at today becomes the one who saves everyone tomorrow.